If you are doing any announcements or talking at all, please come forward up here, and that way people can see and hear you. Got it. And we are welcoming our guests now. Do we have any guests? I know we do. No problem.
Hey, everybody. So we have quite a few guests today, and every time we have a question for our guests. And so tonight, in honor of the alpaca pancake breakfast coming up, the question is, if you were gonna have your own event where you got to pick an animal and a food, what would the animal and food be? So our first guest is Nancy.
Jennifer said you were having an alpaca breakfast. They said you're eating what for breakfast? So I took an animal.
Not an animal to eat.
No, but an animal can have as like for breakfast.
No, not an animal to eat.
No,
No,
because
because
Like
Puppies, like a bunch of puppies.
puppies, yeah, that would be so cute. Awesome. Thank you, Nancy.
not giraffe.
Oh, giraffe.
Dean? Yes.
I beat you from the home Rotary Club. He told dogs would be my animal. But I was thinking the same thing, not dogs.
Not for breakfast.
But as a feed for you, yeah.
Thank you. All right, Mo? If you were gonna have an event and there was gonna be an animal there that people could pet and play with, and then a food that was being served, what would the animal be? And what would the food be? I'm sorry, that's all hard question. Two parts.
I'm thinking of a bunny.
Yeah. That'd be so cute.
Yeah. Food, well, egg rolls.
Funny egg roll, bunny, I love it. Amazing. Thank you so much. Periz?
I'd probably bring a parrot with me. The food stuff.
Angie? Bunny. Here,
With me. Tierney. I like alliteration, so I'd probably go with Eagles and brunch. Can't go wrong.
Emily?
I would probably go for, what are those little critters in Australia?
Swallow.
Oh, they're like the
Waka. Waka.
They're super cute. And then I do quackers because they're very smiley and
So cute, awesome. Well, thank you. Welcome to our guests.
Thank you. All right, do we have anybody joining us virtually?
yes. Online, we have Emily Nolte and Nathan.
Emily and Nathan, welcome. And again, we have our anniversaries that you saw 2 weeks ago, Rachel, Sierra, Stephanie, and happy birthday, Ben, Laura, Danielle, Ashley, Eileen, and soon to be Ben. So we can sing happy birthday. Yay. And membership updates. Anybody want to, Alyssa, you want to do this? Or I can just talk. Oh, rock the baby. We have 52 active members and we are welcoming Nicole Cristoni. Cristoni? Oh, welcome. And Samantha like Rusty. I didn't get it. Rusty here? Rusty? Is she here?
No, she's
Nope. Okay, thank you. And we're also welcome Tierney Ray Hall. Do you want to come up and just say a quick something about yourself? And she is our global scholar that we are sponsoring for.
Yes, scholars.
Sponsor.
I don't know when I submitted that picture, but that's my dog, right?
I found it.
I grew up in Jefferson, but my family's from the La Crosse area, so it's great to be back. I went to undergraduate at UW-Madison, so big Badger fan. And now I'm doing my graduate studies at the University of Oxford, and doing international relations as my graduate study. Yeah, so very grateful to be here, very thankful for Rotary and everything they've done. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. Avenues of service. It was this past Wednesday, and I gotta tell you, it was my third one, I think, maybe. And it was absolutely amazing at the cargo room. And we won so many awards. We were called the Power Club. So great compliment by many people there. But me personally, the most awesome part was being with all these people and filling up 2 complete tables and just showing how much of a strong group we are and the community and the love everybody has. So thank you, everybody, for participating if you were there. And if you were not there this year, I highly suggest you go next year if you are able. It's awesome to see so many Rotarians in one room and sharing a common goal. So thank you, everybody who was there. And then we left there immediately afterwards and went to pick up Ida. So Ida, welcome. Good to have you here. You must stand up. Just that we can see you. Denmark. Oh, I got it right. She's from Denmark. And you looked so happy when you got off that plane. The 19 hours? 25 hours to get here. So we welcomed her and then she went straight home into bed, I'm sure. So thank you for being here. And we are now today signing our committal form for next year. So we'll keep that in mind and we'll talk more about that sometime down the road. And then Ida has a welcome picnic at the Moon Tunes and all the other youth exchange students that are here. A great time to see them and welcome them when it's going to be 100 degrees. But there'll be great food and you come enjoy the music and say hello and great fellowship with everybody. So if you're available, please try to come. It'll be great. And please bring a dish and your own chair if you're able to come. It is starting at 6 o'clock, it's moving back a half hour because of the heat and trying to keep everybody safe.
Just to confirm, it's
Yeah.
tomorrow or Thursday.
Thursday, did I say tomorrow?
No, it's covered up, and so I just wanted
Oh,
to
sorry,
confirm.
yeah, it's Thursday, Moon Tune, the regular Thursday at Riverside Park. Yeah.
I'm gonna call you all. So, the United Department did the whole notice to see like everyone who, all that she's here, and in my capacity, and like her family is will, oh, even if you have opportunities, I'm gonna see it out, bring her. Here, so, the fact that she gets to be here with us tonight, you know, about her call.
Okay. And Steph has the slide sent to me today, the 10th annual mini masters 2023. And we are looking for, she said 32, but I thought it was 35. Teams of 4, and that is a major fundraiser for this club. So if you are able to make it September 21st at the Riverside Amusements, and that is such a fun time to get through that mini golf course as fast as possible and get to the great food. And then there will be sponsorships available. They were sent out by email. If you do not have it, please let us know. And there they are. 4-person team for $120, includes mini golf, the t-shirt, beverages, and fun. We're all about fun. All proceeds go towards the youth exchange program. This is a great way to support all the students that are able to come here. We're hoping to raise $10,000 for 10 years that it has been in existence, 10-year anniversary. Local businesses or anybody else that you know that would be willing to sponsor the events. Doesn't say. I think 6 or 7. Do you know, Marissa? What time it starts? Is it 5?
Food, I think food at time, so it probably starts the first group about 4:30, I guess. Thought food was at 5 for the first, each time it's at 6. Drinks will be there for
An email will be sent out. We will let you know. 5 for some reason sounds about right when last year when we went.
That's 5 o'clock on the Facebook event and on the event attached to the Facebook event.
Great, 5 o'clock.
And on the website, it says 5 o'clock. Setup, 5:30 registration, 5:30 social, 6:15 go to holes and team. 7:15 round 1.
Great.
7:30 round 2 begins.
So you can come at 5. We need all the help. Highway cleanup will be September 14th, 5:30 to 6:30 usually. With food and drinks following, we go across the street to the restaurant and we enjoy some good time together. Monday meal, September 25th at 4 o'clock. Oktoberfest. You hopefully got the email if you are able to right now. We are set up for Friday, the 29th from 4 to 8 p.m. The club will get $600 for 15 people volunteering for bartending. You are welcome to bring a friend. So please, if you were able to, and also wear your t-shirts and so on, and you will just be, we call it, cans and bars, whatever, and tap.
You
Yeah.
can
really.
also, bring tip jars, and wear Rotary stuff, because you also get to keep all the tips that you collect as well. So you have the, potential to earn more than $600. And then as a thank you from Oktoberfest, you also get a free pass for the weekend to the garage for volunteering as well.
As long as you signed up ahead of time.
Yes, you have to sign up ahead of time. So then that way you can collect your pass
Yes.
from me before Thursday, so that you can come to the grounds before bartending. You have to stay sober enough to bartend. Yeah.
Oh, great, thank you. I think we have 3 people signed up from 4 to 8 so far, so we're at a good start. Social torchlight parade, September 28th, more to follow. So please, we'll, sign up sheet will go out, and then where are we meeting? Do you remember? Logan?
They haven't given us the meetup spot yet, but yeah, it's usually like on the north side by, like, between George Street and Liberty in there.
Okay. Great, so more information to come for that. Global grants. So Sierra is presenting on global grants because we are going to be putting out a request from her and her committee for this club personally.
All right, so our club has been working towards a global grant, which would be in Matagalpa, Nicaragua. And so our club has been working with, there's I think 5 of us from this club, and then the Holman Club, the Downtown Club, and the East Club. This will be a collaboration of area clubs and 15 more. So our goal with this is to fulfill the Rotary area for clean water and sanitation. So I believe I've been with the club 2 years. So just over 2 years ago, our club filled out a survey about what would we be interested in. What would we be interested in doing a global grant project? And our club said that we would like to focus on either the clean water and sanitation or mother and children's health. This one does both. And then that we would like it to be in Latin America or South America. So like I said, we would be in partnership with different clubs, and then the club in Nicaragua would be the Matagalpa Club. And our club and other area clubs actually have history in partnering with a specific club, which makes it a lot better in terms of, I mean, there's a lot of moving parts for this. And so knowing that we have a partner we can trust is so important. So having that history is really big. And then an organization that we would be partnering with is called Rayo de Sol. And so their executive director, Peter Schaller, has worked with many members of our community for a long time. So Global Partners used to be a program for the Gunnison Medical Foundation, and they did a lot of medical work as well as helping with water projects like this in that community. So some of the downtown club members, Richard Strauss and Sheila Riley, have been really involved with that, have been down to this community many, many times and are involved in our committee, as well as my grandma. And so they have been really involved with us, and we have had really good conversations with Peter about this project and about moving forward that have made us feel very hopeful. I will share that we have had other conversations with other potential global grants. that made us feel not so hopeful and like maybe this isn't a great use of our money. So we did not select this project lightly, and we have taken these partnerships very serious, and every communication that we receive from them has been very, very positive. Makes us feel confident. So yeah, like I mentioned, this will be clean water and sanitation, and focus on that Rotary priority. When you're applying for a global grant, they usually recommend that you just select one of the 7 areas of focus. So even though this would be addressing 1, 2, maybe even 3 different areas, we would be selecting this one, but it would definitely also address mother and children's health. I'll get a little more into the need, but one of the reasons for doing this is that the women and children's health is severely impacted by the water sources they currently have available. So there's an endless need in this community. Our goal is to provide 100 rain collection and sanitation systems in this community. So the community in Nicaragua is located at a very high elevation. They're up in the mountains. So drilling a well is not an option for this community. So during the dry season, which is about 50% of the year, these families, mothers and children, are spending hours a day walking to clean water sources to collect water for their families. This could be time that is spent doing literally anything else, making money, not walking to do that. And then this also provides them with cleaner water as well. And so like I said, yeah, half the year, this is not an option. These systems truly don't get them through that other 50% of the year, but it gets them through a lot of it. And these communities are very accustomed to rationing their water. It can be very, very life-changing for these families when they receive it. So each system costs $775. And so this is for the equipment and installation of the rain collection system, as well as the sanitation feature of it as well. And so ongoing cost for that is about $15 to $20 every 1 to 2 years for them to replace that filter. But other than that, of course, unless something breaks, there shouldn't be any ongoing costs. And Rio de Sol, the organization that's helping us facilitate this, has implemented this program in many communities in their region, and is very experienced and has programs set in place. If things are to break, they have an installation process. They have a process for vetting families to make sure that, you know, their roof is the right setup to accommodate the system as well. Also, each of the families is required to make a contribution themselves. So over 18 to 24 months, they are required to pay usually about 10% of the cost of the system for it, as well as plant a set number of trees on their property as well. So we're not just giving them something, they are putting a lot of effort in themselves as well. So we are asking, our committee is asking that our club contributes $10,000 towards this project. Currently for this year, we have budgeted $5,000, but since we haven't done a global grant for quite a few years, we have a lot more funds available than the $5,000. And like I mentioned, $775 provides one of those systems. So every, you know, all the more money we can contribute, the more families get to benefit from this. So it would be very, very impactful. Does anybody have any questions? I went through that very quick. I'm trying to save time, but it's a cool project, helps a lot of people. Clean water is cool. Anyone? What's the next step? So we would be applying for grants at the district and at the global level. So right now we have been working with Rio de Sol to put together a needs assessment, which would be part of the grant. And so they just sent that over to me last night, the first draft of that. And then they're also working on a video to show what they're doing, what the need is, and the people that would be affected by it. And so we will be sharing that in the coming month with other area clubs and asking for their support. Peter, the executive director from Rio de Sol, he will be in the area at the end of October. And we are hoping to have a presentation with him either at the downtown club or at another meeting. He'll only be here for like 3 days. We can't come to our meeting, unfortunately. But hearing from him, figuring out how much support we'll get from area clubs, creating a budget, and then starting to apply for grants. I don't have a great timeline right now, but those are the steps.
What are the opportunities to travel down there? Because I know that was really important.
Yes.
When we were talking about doing a global grant, having the opportunity as club members to travel.
Absolutely. So yeah, that was a big thing on the survey as well, that people wanted to be able to travel. At this very moment right now, this could change. So I don't want to be like, for sure people can go, but right now, things are safe enough in the country that we would be able to visit this project. That was not true a year ago, a couple years ago. But at this moment, things are safe enough. Peter has been bringing down high school students, college students to his mission, to, you know, volunteer, do various things. And he has assured us many times he would not be bringing those like literal children there if he did not feel confident in the safety, and in his community. So at this time, it would be safe for members of our club to travel there, when it gets to that point. My understanding is that the people that would be installing these are, that's their thing, that's what they do. We would not be involved in helping with installation. He has shared that there's other needs, so educating families about how it works, putting together marketing materials, other things that our club can be involved with outside of the fundraising and writing the check aspect. But more to come with that.
So like if the whole club wanted to go, we could all go. It's not gonna be limited to just the people that have been on the committee.
That is not a conversation that we have had. I don't know of a reason of why we couldn't have everyone go. I don't necessarily think we would have everyone go all at once, maybe, but everyone should be able to go. I don't know of a reason why there would be a limit. Other people that have been working on it are wanting to. I don't think.
I guess I don't. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, I don't think everybody from the club wants to necessarily go.
Right.
I think hypothetically,
Yeah.
if,
Yeah.
you know, like, are we gonna say only so many people can go? Or,
I don't think so. I don't foresee that happening. I don't have any reason to think either way.
I mean, they don't want like a bunch of people to show
Right.
up all at once and then we.
Like, I think to be respectful into our groups, we would limit it to a size, but if we had to split it into multiple visits, I think that would be okay. Peter's very willing to work with us. He's very aware of the fact that our club does want to visit, and that's something that their organization is commonly facilitating.
so how do we get consensus or feel from people, from membership, whether they're in support of this or not?
I'm not sure, yeah.
We are going to send out an email to the club, asking for probably more feedback and letting know the decision.
I will add one more thing too,
Yeah.
is when we did our strategic planning 3 years ago in 2020, we decided then as a club that we wanted to do a global grant every 3 years. And so for the last few years, we've been setting aside $5,000 raised from Ugly Sweater to go towards a future global grant.
Yes.
And that was
Each year.
decided by the board a few years ago when we set up that time.
Yeah, so I do wanna say that too, that like I very much, and like our whole committee in planning this has been very attentive to the survey that was filled out by our clubs and their requests from that. So what we're doing is very much like really spot on to what the club was requesting, so please come to us with your questions, concerns, everything about that, but we are really trying to be good stewards of the money that we all work so hard to raise. Alyssa.
In the email that you sent out, you will list the people who are part of talking about this, and you know who to contact if you have questions.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I would contact me. I've been a part of the most conversations, but Stephanie, Nathan, Dean, Ashley have been other people as well. And anyone that's interested in being a committee member, absolutely, let me know. Let me know. There's a long way to go. So,
And because Sierra brought the idea, the request to raise it up to $10,000 at one time. The board just thought of, for transparency's sake, and just to let you guys know what's going on, just to bring it to the club meeting. So you would know where your money is going.
absolutely. And I will be sharing that video as well once that is ready. Cool. Me again. All right, Alpaca Pancake Breakfast, you guys, it's less than 2 weeks away. So fun and exciting. We have sold over 110 tickets. But I would like to sell, you know, like 300, 400, 500. Why not? Okay, so our Facebook event is getting a lot of traction, but the more you share it, sharing posts, inviting friends, amazing, wonderful. Tickets are cheaper in advance. If they wait until the day of, they do go up quite a bit. But you know, buy tickets in advance. So as a reminder, there'll be live music. There will be live alpacas and ponies available for petting and for pictures. At 9 a.m. there'll be the opportunity to feed them for an extra fee, limited quantities available. At 10:45, there will be the crowning of the People's Choice Award winner. So an alpaca or pony will be crowned as the winner. That's gonna be so cute. Yeah, free kids activities. The Fiber Guild will be there doing demonstrations with weaving and how alpaca fur is used. It's gonna be so cute. We also need volunteers. Please sign up to volunteer. Thank you to everyone that has signed up for setup in the first session, but the second session, it's just gonna be a free for all at this point. So please sign up to serve food, all of those things. Let me know if you have questions. Scan the QR codes. Come to me if you want to buy tickets. I have them here. It's cheaper for our club if you buy them from me as opposed to online. Because we don't have to pay the fees. So yeah, I hope to see everybody there. Let me know if you have questions.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Oops. Keep going. Star meeting, Thursday, September 14th. If you were a new member of the club, it's encouraged to go and find out more about Rotary at the Capella Performing Arts Center, wherever door D is. 8th Street, I guess. So you can learn a lot of information, and it's a repetitive thing throughout the year. So I think there's even stuff on YouTube, maybe. Not anymore. Okay, never mind. You're also invited to August 30th, 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. on Zoom. Here's an email address, and you can ask if you need more information about it. Rotary orientation to learn more stuff about Rotary as well. Any other announcements? Yes, what's up?
Place right now, but I can fill them, so if you want it, food and there's no place available, come on up.
It's a good sign. So any other announcements? Great. Okay. And it is so exciting to have the privilege of introducing Mo Yang from the Hmong Cultural Center. And since one of our members is getting married this weekend, Neil, it popped into my mind, and we are surrounded by this culture around the La Crosse area. This is a great time to learn more about them and all the hope that they find in this country, in La Crosse and so on, and to even teaching the people and all the other cultures about you coming across the ocean and so on. So let's welcome Mo Yang.
Right, okay, so, again, my name is Mo Yang. I am really going to project my voice because there seems to be an echo in this building, in this room, so if you can't hear me, just raise your hand and I will repeat whatever it is I just said. But I am from the Hmong Cultural and Community Agency. And the topics that I brought for us to talk about, and I know this is a deck that is our usual deck that we bring out when we have businesses and organizations request this type of presentation. So I do have a lot of stuff in this deck, and if there are things that you want to learn more about, I can certainly come back again, or we can pause and I can answer your questions. But I want to give you an early history, our journey. I'm going to talk about family structure and social norms and beliefs and traditions and Q&A, but I'm really flexible. So if there are any burning questions while we go through these topics, just raise your hand and we'll have a good discussion. Okay, just a little bit about our agency. We are a nonprofit. We've been around in the La Crosse area since 1982. It emerged from what was the Hmong Mutual Association. And that was a nonprofit that was created when Hmong people first came into the area, where we received services on job training, schooling, parenting, all of the basic life things that when you're a refugee and you resettle into a new country, that you just need some help with. And so that is the root and origin of how we came about our agency. Our services that we provide are we do interpreting, translation. We help with job and employment. We help with families who need to navigate the green card system, how to become a citizen. We provide mental health support. We provide programs like this, going out into the community and talking about our Hmong culture and specifics. Pastor Phil just said, come and speak about your culture, but I go to certain like schools, they want certain things to cover. I've spoken at nursing and health programs, and so they want to know a lot about our traditional beliefs about mental health. And one of the primary reasons why we exist here in I keep saying the Twin Cities, so forgive me if I say the Twin Cities, because I also live up in the Twin Cities, but here in La Crosse, our facility is a funeral home. And we also have what's called a soul release. So in our culture, we have what I commonly call part 1 funeral, part 2 funeral. So part 1 is the one that you guys are pretty much familiar with, the usual. And then the part 2 is a soul release where like, after the person has been put to rest, then we have a soul release to tell our departed person, you are free to go, wherever you're gonna go. You don't belong here with us, and you can go. So we have an official soul release ceremony. And then we also refer people out to different services. So, the programs that we have for our own Hmong people, our members, we have a lot of requests to keep our culture alive. So we do Hmong culture classes because we have traditions in marriage, traditions in funeral rites, traditions in all sorts of things. And so we offer those type of classes. Right now, we have a women's sewing group, mental health fitness group. We have a men's support group called Sapa Cafe, a youth dance. We have a Hmong education project, and I will send information to all of you during that time because we actually turn our facility into an immersive experience. We have a jungle room, so the kids in the La Crosse, Alaska home and school system, they actually come to our center and experience the journey of how we got here, and our facility is turned into, I was very impressed. There was a refugee camp room and a model house in there. So I would love to have all of you come and experience that. And if any of you are looking for some kind of new hobby, we actually have a blacksmith shop in the back of our building. And because there are a lot of Hmong folks who know the skill and they want to continue making traditional Hmong knives and garden hose and tools. And so it is available for anyone to come and use. You should come and check it out. And then I also want to promote that we have a Hmong New Year Festival. Every single year, it's been going on ever since we settled here in La Crosse. This year, it's September 23rd and 24th, and I will provide more information to Pastor Phil, so you can pass it on to all of you. But it is a 2-day festival. We've got lots of food. That's where, that's my favorite part, walking around and buying stuff at the food vendors. We have a dance competition, so you'll see all the young dance teams coming in from like Eau Claire, Minnesota, and there's 40 teams, I think. And then we have a soccer tournament, and then we have a volleyball tournament, and it's really great fun. So, a little brief tour of our center. Okay, a little bit about myself. I am the executive director of the Hmong Cultural Center. And when I am not the executive director, I'm also a change management consultant. And that is what I do as my day job. My executive director position is really, it's a volunteer position. It's like pennies, so I'm only supposed to be working 10 hours a week, but I live like a block from HCA and I work, I love it. I want to really help it. I live here in La Crosse. I also live in Lino Lakes with my family. Lino Lakes is a suburb in the Twin Cities. And I have 2 boys, 2 girls, and I have 2 little grandsons who I adore. Okay, and that's a little nice picture of me and my family, and let me see. And we love to dress up in our traditional clothes and, just, yay, let's go somewhere dressed up and take pictures of the flowers and the fields and the streams. Oh, sorry, okay. And, okay, so here's our journey. This is a picture of the Hmong village, what we call Hmong village up in the Twin Cities. So it is like a little strip mall. And you go in there, and that's exactly what it looks like. The Twin Cities has a huge Hmong community. You can order food, it's like you go there and whenever I go there, I always have to make sure that I'm looking good. Because when you go there, you always meet somebody you know. And so you don't ever want to be caught there, not on your worst day. It's really busy and you can go buy all kinds of foods. And so we love our Hmong village. We actually have two of them. Another one called Como Town or Hmong Market, I forget what it's. But that was the first one. And then this is another one. When you go there, you can buy food, you can buy merchandise. They have vegetables and stuff in there. So if you want an experience up in the Twin Cities about home culture, you should definitely visit. Okay, so. The journey is basically from Laos, how we ended up in Laos to the USA. And this is just gonna be a quick tour of the history of how we got here. But there's about 500,000 Hmong in Laos right now. And according to the US Census, there's about 260,000 Hmong in the USA. In Wisconsin here, there's 58,000. And in La Crosse County, there's 4,100. So we are quite a booming group here in the La Crosse County. And let's see. Okay, so this is the journey. So back in China around 2700 BC, our origins, we are from China. And we are an ethnic minority. And our origin is from China. But over the years of all the turmoil, and you know, if you read the history, like the Han Dynasty and all these wars, and then we as Hmong people, we're just living our life right there, right? But then we're caught in all these wars, and so we have to escape China, and then we keep gradually moving from in that direction of that region there. And so, you know, back in, you know, in the BC times, we really didn't know where we're going. All these countries were not existing. We just go and, oh, this looks like a great place to set up our house and our garden and our animals. So we just kind of lived there for a while, right? And then there's war. And then again, you have to pick up and move. And so eventually we end up in Laos. So the Hmong people who are in the USA are the Hmong people who are the nomads from Laos. In China right now, there is the largest Hmong population is in China, because they have just assimilated into Chinese culture, but they are one of the thousands of ethnic minorities who live in China. And I have gone to China, and they like the Hmong people live in the area of Kunming, that province. They have assimilated, so you don't know that they're Hmong. And then when I've gone, I've contacted, you know, somehow my husband was able to get some Hmong Chinese to be our tour guides, and they speak fluent Chinese. They're assimilated into the culture, and you don't even know, yeah, they're Hmong. And it's really cool when you can hear other Hmong people from other countries speak Hmong, because we also speak it differently. I just came back from a trip in Vietnam. In Sapa, northern Vietnam, there's a huge Hmong community there, and they speak Hmong with a Vietnamese accent to it, and it's a little bit different. We're just comparing different words. So it's really fun to go around and meet Hmong people from all over the world. All right, so around the 1790s to the 1860s, that's where our nomad journey took us into Laos. And so around 1960 to 1975, that was the Vietnam War. And again, Hmong people, we love to be up in the mountains. We like to farm. We like to just have our own little way of life up there, our community, our villages. And so we're up there living our own good life. And then here comes this war, the Vietnam War. And so then the CIA, so if you read the book, The Secret War in Laos, that tells the whole story and backstory of how the Hmong people were recruited to be fighting on the side of the US through the CIA. And so this was the main guy, Vang Pao, General Vang Pao. He was the one who was, and I don't really quite, I'm not clear on how he got connected to the CIA, but basically he was the one that was given the information that if you can get Hmong people to fight on the side of the CIA, we're gonna pay them money. We're, we're gonna do this, do that. And so then he did recruit a lot of the Hmong villagers to fight for the CIA. And so, if you read the military books and the history, Laos was it's a landlocked country, but they're in the middle of the Tonkin, the Gulf of, Tonkin Gulf Bay, I believe it is. And so they needed to transport food and weapons, and they had to cut through Laos. And at that time, Laos was supposed to be a neutral country. So that's why there's this secret war, because the CIA went in and just did this. So there were thousands of Hmong people fighting on behalf of the US. And when the US pulled out of Vietnam, General Bang Pao said, if you can escape the villages, go. If you can make it down from the mountains of Laos, cross the Mekong River into Thailand, make it into refugees, you will be taken in as a refugee in the refugee camps in Laos that were set up by the United Nations. And so literally, so I was just a little baby, but the stories that my mom tells me is that the word came, there was no telephone, so person told person, and it was, you just need to go. And so literally my mother and my father grabbed whatever they could, and they just went into the jungle, down the path, down to Thailand. And the trip took what, by foot, moving through the jungles, because it's still wartime. And she said it took like about 2 weeks. And so you're going down the jungle, so you get to the Mekong River, and then how do we cross over? So my mom had a little money, so she was able to hire a person who had a boat to take us across. But many people didn't have money to hire anyone. So they had to, we're not really great swimmers, because we're living up high in the mountain there. They tried to cross, and so many people perished during that crossing. But my family, we made it into the resettlement refugee camp in Thailand. We were there for, I think, about a year. My father was while you're in the refugee camp, they have programs, so he was given a crash course in English, crash course in American culture. And this is he comes home into the camp. I mean, I call it home, but we were living there for a while. And he goes, oh, I learned something today in my class. And I said, what? And he goes, in America, all they eat are toast and eggs. And I don't know what toast was, I know what eggs was. So I'm like, oh my gosh, toast and eggs. And eggs is a luxury item. So I was really happy I was gonna be eating eggs, but I didn't know what this toast thing was. So in my mind, we were thinking that we're coming to America, all we had was gonna be eating toast and eggs. So my dad takes me crash course English culture, so we're in the refugee camp, and so when you're waiting to be resettled into another country, the United Nations controls this whole process. And all this, they process they have your records, and then randomly, I don't know how it happens, someone just comes to your little section of the camp and says, well, you have been resettled. Guess what? You're gonna go to Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Okay, so that's where our family ended up. And we went in 1976. I was maybe 5, just turning 5. Started kindergarten, and we had never seen snow before. So we arrived in October, and we were just like, what is this? This is really cold. And yeah, so I remember our sponsors putting us into, it looked like a cabin. It must have been our sponsor's cabin, I think. She didn't know the family didn't know where to put us, I think. So we ended up in a cabin out in the woods. And so we got hungry. They had canned food, but there were no can openers. So we're like just sitting there like, there's food here, but no can openers. So my brother thinks that it's like, we're back in Laos and just go hunt for our food. So he goes out and he comes back with a skunk. We don't have skunks in Laos. Yeah, he goes back with a skunk. And we figure out that this is a terrible thing that just happened. And our sponsor comes and checks on us, and they're just like, oh my, what happened? And we have no ability to explain any English, and so they basically, you know, have to replace everything in the house and give us new clothes and something with tomato juice, I think. Yeah, so there we are, Wisconsin, and I start class, I start kindergarten, my brothers start, I think, 4th grade, 5th grade. And so that was 1976. I've been here in the US for, I think, what, 40 years, 40 something years. And we were one of the early families to come to the US. And I just wanted to show this slide because I think it is amazing for the time that we have been here, that we have these very famous Hmong people. So Suni Lee, she's Hmong. Brenda Song, her mother is Thai, her father is Hmong. Kao Kalia Yang, I don't know if you read her book, The Late Homecomer, the song poet. She recently, back in the spring, was invited to be one of the guests at one of the library events, like in Baroque or one of the, but she's a big deal. There's Doa Moa, he's the actor in the live action Mulan. He's the funny, like in the cartoons, those will be the fat one. He plays that one. We have Senator Mimua. She's not a senator anymore, but she was one of the first woman, Hmong woman to be a senator, and also the first Hmong person to be a senator. So really amazing accomplishments. Yeving, I've actually eaten his food, it's delicious. He's up in the Twin Cities. He owns a restaurant called Union Kitchen. He was on Netflix. The Iron Chef. Yeah, he was one of the contestants. But he's a big deal up in the Twin Cities, his food, and he's gonna be cooking something at the state fair this year. But my kids recently catered from him, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. Gia Vang, she was in the Twin Cities, but she just moved out to the San Francisco area. She was an anchor. And Miley Chang, she's a NASA engineer, and again, she had some kind of wonderful celebration going on. She's like a doctor or something, you know, like one of these people are just like, oh my God, you're just so brainiac, you're such a brainiac, I can't even imagine, you know, how you got your degree and your title. So I just think it's amazing with all this 40 years, Hmong people being here, all these accomplishments, all the businesses that have flourished here in the Cross area. All right, so I'm gonna just jump to some of the more serious stuff, family structure and social norms. But any questions so far? Okay. So what you're looking at here is a soul release. And so inside the house here, we build a little house that's supposed to represent a person. And we're playing a song for that soul that says, you are free to go. Do not worry about us anymore. I'm going to talk about the Hmong last names. We basically have 18 clans. Our last name indicates which clan we are from. So out of the Hmong people out in the whole world, Vietnam, China, Cambodia, wherever you go, we are one of these 18. And so my husband is from the Yang clan. I am from the Lee clan. And one of the very strict taboos in our culture is if you are within a clan, you cannot intermarry. So even if they're not related to me, I just go meet somebody out in California. One of the first things I have to ask is, well, I'm kind of attracted to you, but can I ask you what's your last name? It's real, that's how the conversation goes. And then if they happen to say, well, I'm a Lee, because my birth family is Lee, so I'm like, oh God, darn it, you know. Yeah. But it's a taboo, you are to marry outside of your clan. So these are our 18 clans. And that's why they're very common last names. I was just talking to, I'm sorry, I forgot your name. Dean. Yeah, sometimes we're related, sometimes we're not. Our kids take the father's last name. Yes. They are now in the Yang clan, so then they can marry a Lee person from the Lee clan. Showing respect, so forms of addressing someone. And so here, I don't know if you, in your interactions with Hmong people in the community here, but the men will have two parts to their name. When they are born, so in this example here, their birth name, they're just called Yang. And that's the name that you're born in. It means to win, to be the victorious one. So when this Yang person, this man, when he gets married, has his first child, then he goes through a rite of passage to get an elder name. And then they add a word in front of his birth name. And the reason is because we want to signify that you are not a kid anymore. You're not a young adult anymore. You are officially an elder. And you are to embrace, and you are to act and behave and hold yourself like an elder now. And so the first name is something that's a very protective name, a very strong name. So in this example here, birth name is Yang, the elder name is No Yang, so that is not his full name. And No means king. So together, his name is very powerful. So when you see a man with two parts, you say both of his names, No Yang, instead of just No, or instead of just Yang, okay? And then the wife, she's always Nia. Nia is the equivalent of Mrs. Nia No Yang. Yeah, we don't legally take our husband's last name, we just, okay, so forms of respect, when you see someone, you can say hello by saying Nyajong, which literally means living good. And then when you say goodbye, you say Shinji Dua, meaning until we meet again. And when a person comes to visit, you invite them into your home by saying Loche, come in. Physical touch and proximity. Typically, Hmong people were not very huggy, touchy-feely type of people. But the young Hmong, American-born Hmong, they're very huggy now. And shaking hands is normal. So, but one of the things that it's across the men and the women shaking hands. So as a woman, if I would not initiate a shaking of the hands as another man. But now I do. I'm used to it, so. Showing respect, modesty. So before, traditionally, it was very unacceptable to cut your hair, to color your hair, to wear makeup. But now it's just a thing of a norms because everyone who are here in the US. Okay, so some traditional beliefs. So what you see here, the Hmong people, there's a lot of Hmong in our community, our population, they are Christians. But there is also a large population that we are still following our traditional beliefs. So I'm just gonna walk you through that a little so that you can understand what is this other side. If you're not a Christian, then this other thing, what is it? So in our homes, if you see this thing on the wall, you do not touch it. You don't talk about it. It's just there. And we call it suka. It is our sacred place in our home. And that is the symbol of the protector of our home. And every single year during the new year, we then ask for it to protect us for the coming year. Our healing beliefs and practices, it's shamanism. And in the shamanism belief system, we have a physical world, so like how you and I are here. But we also believe that there is also a spirit world that's actively going on. And just want to see what the next one. Oh, it just like wanted to go on forever. Sorry. Because I pressed the wrong button. So those two concepts make up why we have shamanism. Because the shaman is the person who can go into that spirit world to ask for your spirit. Because our spirit has, like if you have trauma, you experience trauma, fear, pain, sadness, loneliness, then we believe that our soul is not with us, our spirit is not connected to our physical body. And that's why I'm tired. That's why I'm depressed and I'm sad and I don't feel like myself. So then I would call a shaman and say, I don't know what's going on, but I'm just not feeling like myself. Can you go and help me? So they'll do a ceremony where the shaman then goes into the spirit world and finds my lonely, lost spirit. And the shaman will ask that spirit, my spirit, why are you sad? Why are you not with her? And then the shaman will persuade spirit to come home. And that is that's the first explanation of why we believe we're sick. And if that doesn't work, then, we go to the doctor. Or at the same time, we're going to the doctor and we're also doing our shaman ceremony. So we're very pragmatic people. We want to cover all our bases. So that's shamanism. So here's a picture. So like we could draw a picture from asking the shamanism, well, what is this that you're doing? They are riding a horse. That's what they describe as riding a horse into the spirit world. And they have the ability to go and find our lost spirit. And one of the reasons why I really do believe in that. I grew up a confirmed Lutheran. In fact, I went to Our Savior's Lutheran Church. That's where I was confirmed. My mother was she was a Christian. But yet she had this ability to also believe in our traditional and also Christianity. So after I got married, my husband, his family, like total, like all shamanism. And he helped me to understand this part. It is a very beautiful thing. Because in our system of belief, we believe that there are spirits and things that are around us. And so we have to respect these spirits. We have to respect how we live in this physical world. So for example, if I went out in camp and I started just like chopping things down and killing animals and just doing things, really stupid, being irresponsible, then I would be violating these spirits that live out there. And then that could be one of the reasons why my spirit left me, because I went in and created chaos. And so that's why as growing up, my mom would always say, don't make loud noises. Or, my husband says back in Laos, when they go hunt, they only hunt for what they're going to eat that evening. Because we have a real respect for nature. Okay, so that's one of shamanism ceremony that I was at my cousin's house, actually. And the lady who's standing right there, she's the shaman. So the shaman can be a man or a woman. And how you become a shaman is you are called to it. So there's no school. They go through this illness, and then there's a master shaman who says, you are going to be a shaman, we're going to help you to control those spirits. And we also use a lot of herbs and natural medicine. And our values and beliefs, just touching on this very briefly, we're very family oriented. To sacrifice for your family is the most noble thing that you can do. And if you pursue something that makes me happy and not my family happy, then it could be seen as, gosh, Mo, you're a really selfish person. And so living in this two dualities where, you know, here in the Western culture, set your boundaries and protect them. Or, you know, pursue your own happiness, what makes you happy. So but in a traditional home family, it's don't bring shame onto your family. So you better do whatever it is that you need to do in order to be, you know, not to embarrass us. You better go, you know, go to school and do all this stuff so that you're a good, productive person, and, you know, don't embarrass us. That's how we. Yeah. So hope. I think one of the things about hope is that because of our system of belief, to me personally, I do find this like a little bit frustrating at times, because we believe that we are born into this life and we have a preordained destiny. So bad luck that happens to me, it wasn't because of my choices, it was because I got a really bad preordained destiny. And so like for me personally, I'm like, no, it's because you made a bad choice. And so those are some of the conversations that goes on in our community about you can control your future. It is not up to, you know, whatever predestiny. But hope is, we place a lot of hope in our children. I have a sucky life, but man, I'm gonna do all I can to really help my children to be all they can be. And it is not surprising when families like just totally just put money into the resources of one child so that they can grow up and go to college and get everything they need. And I just wanted to end with love languages, because there's always a whole conversation about like, why do Asian parents never say I love you or you're great? Because like when I was growing up, my mom was always like, she would go to my parent-teacher conferences, and my teachers would say, oh, Mo's like really great reader. She's great reading all these great books. She's a great writer. And my mom would be like, yeah, I know. Tell me what she's not doing well so I can help her to be better. And because like to her, like, yeah, to say that Mo is great is just something that she's uncomfortable with, or she's never said, I love you. But her love language to me is, if I just mention like, oh gosh, I wish I had some biscuits for dinner. I would come home and I would have biscuits. I would get whatever I wanted. And so I think for us, for the Hmong people, that's our love language. It's the act of service. But it's really hard to say those words of affirmation. And so that's a lot of the conversations between the intergenerations that right now are happening, because the young American born Hmong kids are saying, mom and dad, you never praised me. But we're like, well, look at what I did for you. Yeah, so that's the end. I know I had a limited time, so I just kind of cruised through this, but questions, comments?
Have any of the men that fought for they agree better?
Yeah, I don't know. So we haven't asked about veterans group at the HCA. I could ask that. I never thought about that. I will ask that. That's a good question. Yeah, but I don't know.
I was curious about how we include advocacy.
Yeah, I think it's been, for some kids, it's been hard because based on their families, their parents' perspective, because there are some families who are very, very traditional. The man makes all the decisions. can't go out, you have to, all of these different rules. You know, here, they see their friends at school, going to homecoming, going to prom. So there's a lot of discussion. And traditionally, Hmong people, we didn't date. So now, you know, we really have come a long way. I had an arranged marriage. Yeah, I had an arranged marriage. I met my husband the day I married him. And so like sometimes some of my friends like, oh Mo, are you watching The Bachelor? And he's like, whatever, I lived there. But you know, we were married for 33 years. And yeah, unfortunately he passed away. Yeah, but somehow, I don't know, it works for us.
Take a quick minute, talk about mental health.
Yeah. What would,
Because mental health is a topic or focus for Rotary this year
Okay.
internationally. And as there, because you know, United States mental health right now is a huge topic.
yeah,
And anything with the Hmong culture.
I think going back to how I talk about shamanism and our belief of why am I not feeling well? So I could be depressed. So I would, you know, share that with my family. And so we would first go to the shaman. And so I think for a lot of our Hmong people, we don't have a word for mental health. We say, I mean, the closest thing, the translation would be, you're crazy. And so now there's a lot of awareness that the word itself does not describe if I'm not crazy if I'm just feeling depressed or if I'm feeling, you know, whatever it is I'm feeling stressed out with life. So there is a lot of awareness, and we have a lot of Hmong mental health therapists too, that they're helping us with the language of how to take control of our life, how to talk about it with others in our community, because normally we don't talk about that. I was just at a conference and we talked about mental health, and it was about domestic violence. And someone asked the question about like, what, yeah, miscarriages, I mean, how do we deal with that? And, you know, I really thought about it, and really, I mean, Hmong people, we're type of people where you're sad, okay, now get your life together and just get over it. And so I think that's a lot of like in my generation, how I grew up. And so we have a lot of things that we keep buried inside. And I think it's very similar to, you know, when I read about like the Norwegian culture, where it's like we're very tough going people. And so then the mental health piece is really hard to talk about. But now we are beginning to talk about it. And one of the emerging topics that everyone is beginning to get comfortable to talk about is LGBTQ issues and needs and things that we need to be sensitive to that population in our community. And for some families, it's still very hard to talk about. And again, like some parents will say, you're just crazy. That's not, I don't know what that is. Yeah, but I think we are changing. Yeah.
You think that perhaps the less individualistic qualities of Hmong culture, like you're with your family and or your family's individualism, perhaps you do isolation, which really be a problem when you're dealing with or just feeling.
Yeah, I think what it is just, I think traditionally, when you're living up in the mountains, so this is my explanation of studying about, you know, anthropology and just the evolution of how people get into their mindset. Traditionally, in the old country, Hmong people were up in the mountains. They're very, very poor. They farm and eat what they grow, and it's a very harsh type of living. And so there is no luxury in grief. It's just, well, okay, your husband died. Now, what are you gonna do? And in our culture, if your husband dies, then you have to marry the younger brother. Because it's important to keep the children in the family. It's important that the family continues to take care of the widow. So that's a way of keeping everyone together, solving the problem. Well, who's gonna take care of her? Well, they're gonna get married and she will be his wife. So it's just, it's a very stoic culture. And I think that's how people have gotten through all of these hardships. So now we're in the US and we're not living that very hardship type of life, survival, but then we have other issues though. We have stressors, we have work-related things, you know, we have other things. And I think it is like slowly changing because like people like me are the parents. And I can talk about these things with my children and I can say, well, what makes you happy will make me happy. And even though it's the path that I would not choose, I support your decision. So I think it's just a lot of talking and it is very helpful that intergenerations live together. And we are not isolated. I think we have the opposite problem where everyone wants to be in your business. Yeah, so that could be the trigger of the mental health.
Thank you,
Yeah.
yeah, we do.
All right. Okay,
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can keep learning about the picture.
oh, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Do it justice and start.
Thank you. And I thank everybody for staying a little over tonight. Appreciate it. If you can please rise if you're able for the 5 weight. All the things we think, say, or do is the truth. This marriage law. Will be well and better friendships. Will be better. Will it be fun?